Hello, welcome back to History of Education. And today we are looking at uh, ancient Rome education. And this is lesson 4 of History of Education. This is your host, Dr. Tulipo Mwenifumbo. The ancient Rome history, it starts from BC 8th century to AC 5th century. In ancient Rome, education was highly valued and played a significant role in shaping the minds of citizens. Those ancient civilizations laid the groundwork for Western education, influencing the development of education system and values in subsequent centuries. So the education that we are currently having, which is the Western education, was mostly influenced by the Roman ancient education, which has been adopted up to now. So their education system started from what they called Ludus. Then the education which was called the Ludus was the basic education which started from the age of 6 to 12. Unlike the Egyptian, which were starting from 5 to 12, or the Greeks, which were starting from 7 to 15. Them, it was from 6 to 12 years. So in this basic education, it was for both boys and girls, focusing on reading and writing Latin. And also it was focused on my arithmetic and basic mathematics, also Roman law and governance. I want us to know that the legal system that we have currently, it is also from the foundation of Roman law, and also even the governance that we have, this democratic governance that we have, it is also from the foundation of the Roman governance, which were taught in their schools. The then they had what they called grammaticas schools, which were from the age of 12 years to the age of 15 years. This was advanced training for boys, focusing on Latin literature and poetry, Greek language and literature, rhetoric and public speaking. So when children reaches 12 to 15 years, they were taught, whilst they were learning Latin as their language, they were also learning Greek and Greek literature. They were also taught on how to speak in public and rhetoric. When you say rhetoric, those were the leading music kind of leading, like what the hi la la oh, you see. So that was rhetoric. So they were taught to memorize that and to learn how to do this public speaking. Then 15 years and above, they were rhetor schools, which were specialized training. It was advanced rhetorical and oratory skills, where now, like when we look at Paul was an orator who went through such schools. They were also taught law and governance. Then they were also philosophy and ethics. And also education emphasized on Latin language and literature. That was their curriculum. Greek studies like philosophy, Greek philosophy, poetry. Then it was also focused on rhetoric and oratory skills, law and governance, and also military training. Education institution, as we said, they were Ludi, which was a primary schools, then grammatical, which were secondary schools, and rhetorios, which was rhetorical schools, and Athenaeum, which was library and cultural centers. Teaching methods in the Roman schools, the kind of teaching was based on mentorship, which was experienced teachers guided students. So there were those that were called masters, and the masters are the ones that enroll the students. So you are a master, like the way I'm teaching you. These are master classes. These are not normal classes, they are master classes. You are learning from a master who has undergone the training and now is imparting knowledge in you. And in those days, you are identified by the master who taught you, and that is you are called a disciple. So those were the experienced teachers who were accredited to become masters. Then there were also lecturers. Teachers delivered lectures on various subjects. So they are regarded. Besides mentorship, they were also lecturers. So they had lecture theaters where students and trainees were learning how to has various skills and also subjects. Then there were also debates. Debates were tutorials where students engaged in debates to develop oratory skills and also to develop do some philosophical thinking and also analyzing issues. The curriculum for the in the Greek period, it included what was called language where they taught Latin and Greek languages and literature. Then there was literature, which was Roman and Greek poetry, drama, and history. So they studied literature. There were libraries where they were put the literatures which the ancients had written, and the students were learning from those libraries or literature centers. Then rhetoric, they were also public speaking, persuasion, and argumentation. So they were taught, and the curriculum included rhetoric, that is public speaking, how to persuade, and also how to argue in issues on issues, especially issues of governance and law. Then they were teaching law, Roman law and governance. So governmental studies and law was one of the trainings that the Roman or the schools where they were having. Then there was Roman law and governance. So the Roman students were taught Roman law and governance. Then there were philosophy, ethics, metaphysics, and politics. So when we talk about ethics, they were taught how to live and some theories, and also metaphysics. How do you get the knowledge? How do you prove your knowledge? How do you acquire the knowledge? And also they were taught politics and the philosophies of politics, how the politics are done. Now, here there is a difference between government studies and also political studies. When they were on governance, they were learning how administration, and on politics, they were learning articulation, and they were learning the debating, and also how the philosophy on how do you bring about your issues. So the education was focused on developing skills for civic engagement, leadership, and cultural preservation. They also emphasized on moral and religious teachings. The access to education. Boys. Education was primarily reserved for boys from wealthy families. Boys from wealthy families attended schools, which were called Ludas. And now, when it comes to girls, it was the education in Roman period. Girls were limited to access education. Mostly for girls from wealthy families are the ones that were privileged to get education. Girls' education was limited, but some women received literary music training. So girls were mostly taught in music. They were taught in presenting music, dancing, and other skills, and also in serving in the parishes and also in the government houses. Then slaves were not typically educated, limited access for women and lower social class. So education was not for lower class and was not, it was limited to women and also for lower social classes were not given privileged. Also, the like slaves were not privileged to have education. So they just learned the crafts. They were just taught. They never learned about law. Were not taught about governance. They were not taught about politics. They were only taught as they are working on what to do and hearing from their masters. So they were notable educators like Quintilian. You remember we had in the Greek period, we had people like Aristotle and also we had Plato. Now in the Roman education, we had Quintilian and we had also Cicero. So these were great educators who taught like in rhetoric and educate. He was a rhetorical and educator known for his teachings on rhetoric skills. So he's the one who founded and was who crafted the oratory training and the oratory education. And this one was the one who propounded the statesman, which is political education and also philosophy, orator also, and also was known for his writing on rhetoric and politics. So these are the people that founded education or the figures in the Roman education. Thank you so much and God bless you. Remember to like the video and also don't forget to subscribe and also don't forget to for other courses that will be offering. So we are done now with ancient education, which we have looked at uh, the the Egyptian ancient education. We have looked at the Greek ancient education, and also we have looked at the Roman ancient education, which is leading us to the more to the middle age of education, which is module 6. Thank you so much and God bless you. This is your host once again, Dr. Tulipo Mwenifumbo.